In today's Leeds news, clubs unhappy with independent regulator cost. Justin picks up award. Dazzling form hasn't changed opinion. Leeds could determine Rosenior's future. Ampadu's leadership praised. And Rumour mill story on Arthur Avom. Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View for Tuesday the 21st of April with your Leeds United news. Jay here, slight advantage today going at this time with Daniel Farke's press conference is currently underway, so we've got a little bit of news already coming out of that. We've got some good team news. Everyone that was fit for Wolverhampton Wanderers is fit and available for tomorrow night's game against Bournemouth, and Dan James is back in team training but will need some more training sessions before he is ready. No Anton Stack, still not in team training at this point, so still not looking at him coming back until at least the end of this month. Got a bit of stuff to get stuck into today. Wolverhampton Wanderers are gone. First team to drop officially out of the Premier League. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks for that. Close to decent result against Bournemouth on Wednesday night will go a long way to helping us just to get across the line and relax the nerves. You can check out last night's podcast as well. Myself, Paul and Jerry looking back at the weekend's action and looking ahead to what will be a very interesting block of 4 games for all of the clubs involved with fighting for that final relegation spot, fighting to avoid that final relegation spot. But we'll crack on with today's news. We'll start off with the independent regulator upsetting some of the big boys in the Premier League. Who doesn't love a bit of governance news on a Tuesday morning? Well, we've got a bit today. The Premier League clubs, according to an article from The Guardian today, are believed to be unhappy about the rising cost of the new independent football regulator. In the article, the Premier League clubs are said to be unhappy about the financial burden and believe that it will fall on them to carry the can. In this piece in The Guardian, Premier League clubs are said to believe that the independent regulator is now becoming too big, too expensive, and too intrusive. And they also believe that it will be duplicating some of the work that is currently being done by the Premier League. Now, the government believe that this is absolutely essential to be put into place in order to protect clubs, protect fans, and protect the footballing pyramid. But Premier League sides are a little bit fearful of this, and they feel that they were the ones that will be forced to carry the burden of the bill if it continues to increase at the rate that it is. Clubs from the Championship all the way down the pyramid are said to be mostly in favour of the introduction of the football independent regulator. It's just a few Premier League clubs that are against it. And the reason for that is said to be that they believe that it will impact investment and competitiveness. Now, I think we can all take a little bit of a step back from this and be a little bit sceptical when it comes to some of these clubs that have got a problem with the independent regulator. Not to say that it's perfect, nothing is ever perfect, but if we are to be skeptical for a couple of minutes, one of the reasons they say here is that this is too expensive. That is a big part of what they're saying, but given the Premier League team's own spending over the last couple of years, it kind of falls short as an argument. Premier League clubs spent £400 million on agent fees alone last season, and that's expected to go up when the books are revealed for this season. You also add to that the amount of money that clubs have spent on legal teams to try and argue breaches of financial fair play or circumnavigate the rules completely. Now, when you look at the £400 million spent on agent fees, the football regulator's cost is a fraction of that price. So I think we can rule out that it's too expensive nonsense on this one and really get down to what the crux of this are. And that's the word that they've used in the article where they say Premier League clubs believe that it's too intrusive. I don't think some Premier League clubs want an independent regulator pulling back the curtain and having a little poke around behind the scenes and finding out exactly what they are doing with the creative accounting, as it has been dubbed in the last couple of months. Now, as I say, the independent regulator is far from perfect. Most things aren't perfect, but there are some benefits to clubs. And from a Leeds perspective, one of the big benefits will be that niggling little worry, whether it's true or not, that Leeds have about the Red Bull investment in the club. Should they ever decide to change the club's name or badge or crest, the independent regulator protects that kind of stuff. So there are some good things. Yes, there are some bad things to this, but they do appear to be upsetting some of the established top-end Premier League clubs at the moment, which possibly isn't a bad thing either. But we'll move on for now. Let's talk about James Justin, and he has been rewarded for his fantastic displays for Leeds United over the last couple of months. James Justin has picked up the High Sense Player of the Month award for Leeds United, and he did so by grabbing 37% of the overall vote. Behind him was Noah Okafor with 16%, the same percentage as Ao Tanaka. And then you had Carl Darlow, who picked up 11% of the vote. All four of them have been absolutely fantastic for Leeds this month. But it's the second award in short succession for James Justin, who picked up the High Sense Man of the Match award for his display, an overhead kick against Wolverhampton Wanderers, an overhead kick that he believes doesn't even make his top 3 of best goals that he has scored in his career. He's been a fantastic sign. It's interesting to see the Leicester fans trying to double down on their opinions of him when he came to Leeds in the summer, that he wasn't good enough. But, you know, heading towards League One, Leeds are heading towards another season in the Premier League with James Justin in their side. We'll move on. We're nearly getting weekly updates on Jack Harrison at this point, but last month reports from Italy claimed that Fiorentina had no intention of triggering the €8 million or about £6.5 million option to buy Jack Harrison this summer. And since those reports came out, Jack Harrison's form's gone through the absolute roof. Harrison scored his first Fiorentina goal last night against Lecce. He's now got 3 assists and a goal in his 11 starts, but most of those goal contributions have come in the last couple of weeks. And according to Tutto Mercato, they believe, even though he is going through what they've labelled as a period of dazzling form and has helped Fiorentina with their relegation, they believe that even if he has overturned some of the perceptions from the Fiorentina hierarchy, they don't believe that it will be enough to secure a move to Fiorentina in the summer. Now, Harrison spoke about this late last week and said he's very happy there right now. He would like to see if it's a possibility of staying there. He wants to move to somewhere that is going to make him happy, and he's quite content where he is right now. Loves the club, loves the city. So we'll have to wait and see. But Fiorentina are now 8 points above the relegation zone, same as Leeds in the Premier League. And there's 15 points left to play for, same as Leeds United in the Premier League. So they've gone a long way towards securing their Serie A status for next season. They were very much in the relegation zone or just above it by a fraction of points when he did join the club along with Manor Solomon. And they've definitely done the job they're brought in to do. Whether he continues this form between now and to the end of the season, and that changes their mind. But I mean, if they're looking for a player to come in and have an impact, their argument was that the goal output wasn't there, the goal contribution output wasn't there. It's been there in the last couple of weeks, so we'll have to wait and see. And again, as we've said, from Leeds' perspective, important that some of the players that are out on loan, Leeds can move on this summer, try and help out with the wage bill and help towards bringing us some funds in to buy new players this summer. Let's move on. Once we get past the Bournemouth game on Wednesday night, it's full steam ahead to the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, and Leeds could have a little bit of extra motivation to try and beat Chelsea. Not that we need it heading into an FA Cup semi-final, but according to TalkSport, they believe that Liam Rosenior's future at Chelsea is riding on the result against Leeds United. Now, given that Liam Rosenior hasn't beaten Daniel Farke in his managerial career to date, Leeds could be the side that end another manager's tenure at a Premier League club a little bit earlier this season. Now, Rosenior is believed to be under significant pressure behind the scenes at Chelsea. European football is seen as an absolute must for him to retain his job. Now, when you look at it from a league perspective, they're currently sitting on 48 points. They're in those European spots, but they're dead level with Brentford and Bournemouth. And when you actually look at the gap, they're only 9 points ahead of Leeds United. So the gap between Leeds and European football is 9 points. And the gap between Leeds and relegation is 8 points. And we're looking down. So the Premier League is very congested this year in that middle block. And he's a lot of work still to do given their current form to secure European football. So the FA Cup seems like the most viable route for them at this point. But that won't be an easy thing to do. Leeds are going into that with a lot of momentum. Leeds are going into it with a good track record against Chelsea this season. And Daniel Farke is going in with a very strong record against Liam Rosenior as well. So wouldn't it just be nice to not only beat Chelsea, but also cause Chelsea a bit more problems and frustration behind the scenes by replacing yet another manager at their club? But yeah, we'll cover that. We'll have a watch along at the weekend as well. By the way, if you are thinking about heading to the game, there's 2 ways you can see the match if you were unlucky like me not to get a ticket for the FA Cup semi-final. For the fans are running an event at the O2 Academy, £9.50 to get into that, about 2,000 fans, biggest screen in Leeds if you want to go to the FanPark. There are details of that down below. And if you're in Ireland or you're in Dublin and you want to hang out with some Leeds fans for that game, the Camden in Dublin are also going to have a watch party, for lack of a better term, in the Camden this weekend. You can check that out. Camden Whites on Facebook. You can check that out if you want to. Let's move on. Let's talk about one of these standout contenders for Leeds United's Player of the Year this season. It's Captain Ethan Ampadu, who has been, for me anyway, getting better and better and better as this season has been going on. And he's not just shown his leadership to the Leeds United fan base, it's also now being noticed by those in the media as well. Long overdue for Ethan Ampadu, who has been fantastic for Leeds United this season. But Tim Sherwood believes that if Tottenham Hotspur had someone in their squad like Ethan Ampadu, they wouldn't be in the problems they're in right now and would definitely not be in the position they're fighting with at this moment in time. And he has changed his opinion on the Leeds United squad since the start of the season. And speaking about it, he said the following. Looking through the group of players at the beginning of the season, would Tottenham have taken many of them? I would have said no. In hindsight now, you look at it and you look at someone like Ethan Ampadu. He's not only a good player, he's a very, very good player, but he's also a leader. He's someone who wants to stand up. He's not old, but he's got a lot of experience. He drives his teammates forward, and that is what you need in this situation. You need someone who is willing to stand up and pull others in the current direction with you, and that's what Ethan Ampadu has done. He's not alone, but he is dragging them to safety in this league. He's not alone, and that should be pointed out. He's absolutely not on his own. You look at a player like Joe Rodon, who must feel absolutely vindicated now looking at Spurs' position in the league to take that step backwards and go down to the Championship with Leeds and then stay with Leeds that second season and have the season that he's had in the Premier League this year, and where Spurs are now sitting in the Premier League. He has to feel like he's been absolutely vindicated in backing himself in that decision. But Ampadu has been massive for Leeds this season, as has Rodon. And you can go through this squad and pick out any name and say that they've contributed to where Leeds are this season, and where Leeds are heading this season as well. Of, again, semi-final of an FA Cup minimum, possible, very likely Premier League safety as well. More than job done this season. So they've been brilliant, they've been fantastic. Still a little bit of work to do yet, but they deserve a pat on the back once this season is done and dusted. Let's go into some rumour mill territory. Right, one story to bring you today. Arthur Avom, and according to La Tanière in France, they believe that Leeds, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Everton and Sunderland all have interest in FC Lorient and Cameroon midfielder Arthur Avom. Avom's contract at FC Lorient is up this summer, so he will be available on a free transfer. He's only 21 years of age as well, so it's a very good young age. He's played 33 times last season and 29 times this season for FC Lorient, and he's labelled as one of their most promising and exciting emerging talents. Now, had a little look into him, see what people are saying about him, but he's been described as a high-energy midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, someone who is described as covering every blade of grass and can operate in defence as well as attack. He's also said to be very big in transitions, progressive passing, and a bit of a tempo setter. So possibly something Leeds are lacking is a bit more dynamism in that midfield. We get it from Outanake, but outside of Outanake, we're kind of struggling with that kind of profile of player. His character's an interesting one as well. So when you do look him up, you'll see lots of quotes from their captain, Abergel, and interviews that he's done himself. And he seems like a fairly level-headed, grounded young lad, which would tie in quite well with what Leeds are trying to build in the dressing room in terms of character that they want to have in the squad. Now, earlier this year, Aston Villa were labelled as interested in him. Chelsea were labelled as interested in him. West Ham were also labelled as having interest in him. So when you put that all together, you're looking at what? Leeds, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Everton, Sunderland, Chelsea, Aston Villa, West Ham. Look at that many clubs. That many. 8 clubs interested in the player. His transfer value as well is said to be in and around £15 million, although that won't matter coming into this summer because he will be available on a free transfer, assuming he doesn't sign. Now, it is coming from La Tanière. They're relatively small in terms of their profile, so I'll keep an eye on it. But he's got 13 caps for Cameroon as well, which again at 21 years of age is not bad. But there's loads of clubs interested in him. We'll see if it's a player that Leeds do look at. It is another central midfielder. They've been linked with a few already. We'll add him to the list where we go. Folks, that'll be it for me today. There will be a preview for tomorrow night's game on bigup.com over on bigup.com later on today. You can check that out if you want to. And we'll give you updates on Daniel Farke's press conference, team news, and look ahead on the forum guide to the game. Also, don't forget, check us out on Finalysis if you want. Free to download the app in your app store. Use the QR code or the link down below in the description to support the channel. I'll talk to you later on. See ya. Bye.